keep an eye on the participant list, okay? Hello, everyone. We are very glad to have everybody with us today, and we are happy also that this event is being live streamed on our YouTube channel, the AUB official YouTube channel. So I'd like to remind you, if you have any attendees who would like to attend this event, they can also view it live on YouTube. We are very thankful for this partnership that will be a sustainable and continuing partnership between the resource group and the AUB Maroun Sim'an Faculty of Engineering and Architecture. I'm Mona Itani, the Entrepreneurship Coordinator at the Faculty of Engineering, and I'm very glad to be the moderator of today's event. So I would like to start off by saying that we are really thankful for this partnership and for the 2 awards that Resource Group has allocated for our entrepreneurship, cybersecurity, and information privacy research teams at AUB, whether they are undergraduate or graduate. We know that this award will get more popular with time, and I hope that today's event will help other students, third-year students and graduate students, to think about possible research projects that they would like to conduct in this growing and very important area of cybersecurity and information privacy. As the world is going more digital, everybody is going online, and so on, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. So we truly hope that today's event will be inspiring for everybody who didn't apply for this year, and that next year will have a much bigger number of applicants, because Resource Group is committing generously 2 awards per year, $15,000 each, for cybersecurity startup companies and projects, and as well as information privacy startups. We are very happy for those who already are in the competition today, and we wish you the best of luck. And to start off, I would like to ask Dr. Ayman Aisi, professor at MSFEA, to also welcome the crowd and talk a little bit about the importance of this award.
Thank you very much, Mona, for the introduction. I'm very pleased that we're hosting this final pitching event for the resource group Entrepreneurship Awards in cybersecurity and in information privacy. These awards are offered to students and faculty of the Maroon Samaan Faculty of Engineering and Architecture, or as we call it, the MSFEA at the American University of Beirut. The MSFEA has a long history of graduating the finest engineers, architects, and designers in Lebanon and the region. Today, we are proud to also be recognized as a hub of innovation and research excellence in cybersecurity and information privacy, or CSIP. In fact, MSFEA is in the process of establishing a center for CSIP to promote excellence in research, innovation, and education in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. The vision for this center is that it will be a recognized center in the region and beyond that graduates experts in cybersecurity and privacy, and that it will be the go-to place in the region for the public and private sectors to develop technologies, standards, policies, and awareness to protect the freedom, the safety, the rights, and the privileges of individuals and society at large in a rich and transparent digital world. So as CSIP have serious consequences on economic growth, individual and societal well-being, and national security, their importance rises in a country and the region faced by countless challenges, internal and external. The ECE department and the MSFEA are the ideal place to promote such excellence. And we look forward to positively impact the region and beyond, the same way the faculty contributed in the 50s and 60s to the development of the region's infrastructure in construction, industry, and communications. We already have several junior and senior faculty members in the department who teach courses and do research and supervise innovative projects in areas at the core of CSIP, such as cryptography, computer security, internet security, wireless security, software testing, privacy, algorithms, machine learning, etc. The resource group awards thus provide the perfect bridge between R&D excellence and CSIP and our drive towards the promotion of entrepreneurship by offering support to CSIP startups and funding the research efforts of our faculty members. In fact, the MSFE Entrepreneurship Initiative aims at positioning the faculty as a powerhouse of innovation and preparing the students to establish their own startups by the time they graduate. The initiative builds on the faculty's strengths in creative human capital, in adequate and modernized facilities, a strong network of mentors and alumni, in addition to the access to seed funding. And as part of the initiative, as we have today in this event, undergraduate and graduate students and now faculty members as well are encouraged to think about their projects as potential viable businesses beyond the MSFEA and the university setting. So as our mission to provide excellence in education and to build a culture of innovation extends beyond serving our enrolled students, we are growing our partner network, both in Lebanon, the region, and globally, with like-minded universities, institutions, organizations, and companies to have a bigger impact and more significant change beyond the campus. And our partnership with the resource group fits perfectly in this category and comes at a critical time for Lebanon, where never-ending challenges are facing the population on a daily basis, and in particular, the youth. So welcome again. Let's all have a great event. Thank you, and Best of luck to all.
Thank you, Dr. Ayman, for driving the entrepreneurship initiative and MSFEA's effort to always be leading in both innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. I would also like to welcome the resource group representative who is with us today, who is Dr. Musa Mathieu Ammar. He is the Senior Director for Strategy and Technology at Encrypt Industries Holding, which is a subsidiary of Resource Group. He holds a PhD degree in Signal and Image Processing from Telecom Paris in France, and he has worked in France for international companies such as Gemalto and Bull. We are very happy to have you with us. Dr. Ammar will say a few words on the behalf of Resource Group, the importance of this award, and he will also give us a keynote speech about the importance of this industry in the world that we live in. The floor is yours.
Thank you. On behalf of Resource Group, please allow me to thank the Maroun Zaman Faculty of Engineering and Architecture at the American University of Beirut for its efforts to support entrepreneurship and provide the students with opportunities to grow their ideas into successful businesses. We are certainly delighted to be partnering with MFSEA to support the youth in their educational journey as we aim to promote creative human capital, which is at the heart of the knowledge economy. In a world increasingly connected, cybersecurity and information privacy are a major concern for businesses, governments, and consumers alike. This modern information age is based on the need to protect people, devices, and data. The new generation has the opportunity to tackle these issues with a different mindset and outlook. We are delighted to be supporting them to develop new ideas that could enhance security and data protection and help our digital world to be a safer place for all. I really look forward to meet the team and learn about today's project, and I wish all the teams the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ammar. And now for your keynote speech, if you will.
Yeah, actually, the point is we're talking about two major topics that are really related and connected. So we decided actually to have some facts and to discuss, or let's say to talk about our experience as Encrypt subsidiary of Resource Group. So as per the World Economic Forum's Global Risks Report 2021, cyber risks continue ranking among global risks. As you know, cyber attacks are rapidly growing worldwide, driving businesses and governments to better protect their internal systems and networks from outside intrusions. Let me demonstrate the weight of the situation through numbers, some figures. As per the data analyzed by researchers at Atlas VPN, cybercrime cost businesses, governments, agencies, and consumers in general more than $1 trillion in 2020. The worldwide information security market is forecast to reach $170.4 billion in 2022, according to Gartner. And according to Verizon, personal data was involved in 58% of breaches in 2020. So we are living in a world that is constantly evolving. And while technological advancement is bettering our lives, it is also putting our personal data at risk every day. So as a result, cybersecurity has never been more important. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated technological adoption, but also increased cybersecurity issues and exposed the vulnerabilities of businesses, governments, and policymakers. Our modern world is dominated by increased connectivity, such as mobile and IoT devices, rollout of 5G network, remote workforces, etc. This is the world as you know it. But did you know that almost 20 years ago, no one talked about cybersecurity or information privacy? It was not before the new millennium in year 2000, that internet started growing. At the time, it was limited to businesses, okay, or some universities. For example, the emergence of e-commerce has brought some major security concerns. Data was not shared before that time. The main danger began internally with the employees, since the company's systems were now linked to the internet. At that point, cybersecurity was important for IT, government as well. So the evolution of cybersecurity took almost 10 years, okay, from year 2000 up to 2010, as technologies evolved and people and businesses started sharing data online. At the same time, with digitalization, hackers were also sharpening their craft. So while cybersecurity risks were rising, security breaches were similarly increasing. A great example in business, okay, is the Visa and MasterCard hacking issue back in 2005. I don't know if you know about this breach, but the data was not quite protected due to a lack of awareness at that time. So in 2005, Visa and MasterCard announced that they were hacked for more than 40 million cards, debit cards. When I say hacked, it means that all the data were compromised. Mainly, simply, if you look at your credit cards, you will find some data like your name, the card number, validity, and there is also 3 digits on the backside called CVV. So at that time, Visa and MasterCard, they had some concerns about the CVV, because you can buy and you can have some online transactions using the CVV. So many merchants were keeping the CVV in their database, and the issue is when they store these data or this data in their servers, it seems that they haven't protected the data securely, and hackers came. Actually, they attacked and they took all the data, and you can find actually online credit card with all the necessary data to buy online, to have some transactions online. So Visa and MasterCard woke up a little bit late, so they imposed to merchants not to keep any information related to the CVV. And since we had also the coming, or let's say the advancement in the credit cards, more and more smart cards, because at that time we used to use actually the MagStripe one. But in 2006, actually, MasterCard and Visa imposed to many countries the usage of the EMV cards. What we call EMV cards is Europay, MasterCard, Visa. And when we see that in Europe, actually, it was years before than states deployed, and we see that Visa and MasterCard, they were actually imposing the rules in Europe before in states, simply because there were some political issues between Europe and states. But since now, there is no merchant, actually, it is not allowed to keep the CVV information in any database, simply because there is a kind of hashing and some calculation made between card number, the validity and the expiry date, and also the CVV and some seeds from, let's say, time and date, okay, that will allow actually to have a transaction online, okay. So recently, in 2018 or 2019, actually, we saw also something called a dynamic CVV. It means that the card has a dynamic CVV. When we say dynamic, it means that it is changing over the time. And if you are using the CVV for one transaction and you want to use for another transaction, you will get another CVV. So it brought actually another level of security for the Visa and MasterCard. So this is a very, very large domain, but it is actually let's say it is also related to the cybersecurity, because we're talking about the e-commerce and having transactions online. So these examples and others have proven that security should be inherent. Okay, we know that people think that we can build something and add security upon. No, you should think differently, because you have to build your solution, application, the product, and the security, the security itself should be in here. So this is usually done through risk assessment, proactive actions to reduce the risk, and regularly monitoring possible risk. Okay, so I can give you some examples also at Encrypt, because we deal with data. We don't deal only with information. Why we call them data and why we call them information? Simply because, Encrypt is a card manufacturer and security printing house based in Lebanon. We produce recharge cards, we produce SIM cards, banking cards, ID cards, biometric passport, driving license, okay? And of course, we're dealing also with some paper documents like the checkbooks, okay? So from the beginning, we thought about the information we're gathering from the customers, or we're taking from customers to produce some products, okay? This data should be kept in a secure environment. So our concern was from the beginning to have enough internal security before exposing the data to the external. Simply because sometimes the risk is coming, or the threat is coming from internal, not really from any external intrusion. So we decided to build our own solutions in-house. So Encrypt now is using only in-house developed solutions first, and second, we integrated the highest security protocol in order to assure to our customers, banks, governments, telecom operations, that we are at the level that they can give us their data, and we manipulate, we treat this data in a secure way. So I can give you an example for the scratch cards. When you recharge your mobile phone, if you have a prepaid one, you are getting a small paper with a pin. You have to scratch something to get the pin. To have this product, it means that the operator, the mobile operator, should generate this pin and send it to us. The communication mean between Encrypt and the operator, the MNO, is a secure channel via VPN or secure FTP. And also the data should be encrypted, usually with a PGP, in order to make sure that no one can eavesdrop the data between the two points. So we receive the data in a secure environment, because nothing can be decrypted by a human being. All should be decrypted by a machine, or what we call the HSM, hardware secure module, that will allow only data to be decrypted on demand. And the data will be kept in a secure server and will not be sent to the machines to be printed on paper unless there is a request from a supervisor or a manager. And the data will be sent in encrypted between the server and the machine using a temporary key or session keys. And then printing will be done immediately to cover, actually we print and we cover the pin with a special ink in order to make sure that we kept the secrecy of this pin. And then the data will not be disclosed to anybody actually on the server. And second, will be kept for a certain time, because we have a contract, an agreement with the operator to keep this data for a certain period. But after this, we have to delete it, or to keep it, or even to return it to the operator. This is only for smart card, for recharge card. For SIM, it is more, it's even more complicated, and it is more secure, okay? What about the banking card, the ID cards, the passport, the driving license? Everything actually is kept in a secure environment. That's why many companies, whether operations, mobile operators, or banks, or governments, rely on the certificates that we can have from a third party that will audit our factory. For example, we have enough certificate to produce Visa, MasterCard. We have enough certification to produce SIM cards and scratch cards, GSMA SAS, and for SIM. And we have also the ISO 27001 to treat or to manipulate the scratch card data. So talking about the security for us, it's a daily concern. It's not only one time. No, we think about it on a daily basis. And we know that we are under attack by default because, you know, we're dealing with money. When we talk about scratch cards, for example, we're dealing with money. We don't deal with only PIN. For us, it's the money for the customer. So we have to secure and we have to assure our customers that the data are kept in a secure environment. So, you know, when we say that we have international audit, it's something that we do on a yearly basis or 2 years. It depends if it is ISO or it's a GSMA SAS or Visa MasterCard. Okay, but it is something that we are proud to have. And by the way, Encrypt was actually the first card manufacturer in the Middle East to get something called GSMA SAS to produce SIM cards for, worldwide. We can produce SIM cards for any operator worldwide, okay, simply because we have this certification. And we are proud to be the first among maybe 3 or 4 factories in the Middle East. Nowadays, we hear about, biometric ID cards. And naturally, the main issue with this type of cards is the privacy of the person. For example, we have the Lebanese biometric passport or the driving license. You know, the driving license now is a biometric one. The passport is a biometric one. And the work permit, if you have a homemade, actually, you should have a work permit for her or a resident permit as well. So these documents actually store some personal data, mainly biographic and biometric and biographic data. Okay, so the question is how we store this information on these cards. Of course, we're not talking about the memory size. It's something that it has been developed for years. But I'm talking about how can we maintain a required level of security and protect the citizens' data on these cards. Okay, so the confidentiality in this case is something that we deal with from scratch. Every product for us is a threat because it is something that should be delivered to a customer or a certain entity, government might be, or a bank. I don't know. But you have to keep in mind that for us, it is a point to have a security breach somewhere. So we have to think about the security from zero, from scratch. So, when we talk about storing data on a card, for example, we're talking about encryption. And the encryption is, I think all of you, it's the process of encoding the information in a way that makes it unreadable. And it can only be read by the person or party that holds the decryption key. So what we usually do when we deliver banking cards or ID document, let's say, because it might be a ID card or a passport or a driving license, is that we lock the card before we get it into any transport. Why? We call it actually in a transport mode, let's say, simply because we give a lock. Actually, we lock the cards and we exchange the key with our customer in order to allow them actually to authenticate and, of course, at a later stage to personalize. We do not provide a banking card or a MasterCard, Visa, with all the details on it because we produce cards, but we do not personalize. What we do is usually we lock the card and we send it to the bank or what we call them perso bureau, perso centers. Actually, they have to use the same key that we generate for every card in order to authenticate and then to personalize. Not going into more details, I know it's a very, very large domain, but believe me, it is a daily concern for us. And we know that we are, as I mentioned, we are under attack, let's say, every day. So the key ceremony, just to finish, the key ceremony is something that we do maybe once per week. Every customer needs to have a key ceremony simply because we generate the keys on our HSM and we need to exchange the key with the customer. So we generate 3 parts. And we assign 3 custodians from our side and 3 custodians from the customer side in order to receive the 3 parts And at their side, they have to gather and to rebuild, or let's say to reconstruct the three parts into one key on the HSM. So this, let's say, this process or this procedure called key ceremony is a way to assure the customer that we are not dealing with the product, whether a card or a recharge card or a SIM, like a simple product. No, our concern is the security. Okay, and since we know that we are under attack, as I told you, we have some penetration tests done on a yearly basis, and sometimes we do it on 6 months on semester basis. Okay, so the data is very precious. Okay, and the threat, this is the threat that everyone fears. Since data started going online, security breaches have risen. Today, though, the young generation of developers in cybersecurity are thinking differently than the previous generations. They think more like hackers do. And this is where we have further hope that we will always be one step ahead to predict and secure information. Looking ahead, it is crucial to continue elevating cybersecurity as a main global issue and develop more partnerships between industries, businesses, leaders, and regulators in order to address the issue of cybersecurity in its wide context, since it cannot be treated as a single entity. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. The stage is yours, Mona.
Thank you so much. I totally resonate with what you mentioned, that security is not something to be built on top of a technology or a product, but it's something that we need to think about from the very beginning, at the very start. And I'm really glad that today we have 3 teams who are exactly working on that and helping other companies also be more secure and helping protect information privacy. So this is very well noted, and I'm sure that now with the CSIP endeavor as well at the Maroun Seman Faculty of Engineering, more and more students will keep this in mind as they develop more technologies and technological solutions. And now I would like to also welcome with us a very special entrepreneur in the cybersecurity field, Mr. Antoine Jubaria. He is the co-founder of MyKey, and we are very glad to have him today as a keynote speaker as well and as a judge. And again, Antoine, I would say he is one of the co-founders of a success story when it comes to cybersecurity startups in Lebanon and in the region more broadly. His startup didn't just make it in terms of raising millions of dollars in investment rounds, but also made it internationally. Now they are present in the USA and in the Gulf as well. And we would really like to hear more about this story that I hope will become a success story very soon, and to hear from Antoine's experience in creating a startup in this tough and challenging domain of cybersecurity, again, starting from a small country that has been always struggling like Lebanon. And so, Antoine, I would like to welcome you to the stage, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mona, for the very kind intro. Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to tell you our story briefly of how we started in Beirut and where we are today, and the general milestones that we went through. I'm going to share my screen. I might need permission. I'm not sure I actually have it. Let me know when you see it, when anyone sees it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So a bit of background on myself. I studied in Lebanon computer engineering. After that, I worked as a cybersecurity researcher. My area of expertise was authentication and phishing. And over the 4 or 5 years where I worked as a cybersecurity researcher, I've uncovered a lot of vulnerabilities in popular software by Apple, Google, Facebook, etc. My research was covered by a lot of publications, including the Hacker News, the New York Times, Forbes, Yahoo Finance. One of my biggest vulnerabilities that I found was in the Apple keychain, which is used to encrypt credentials locally on Apple devices. It took 1.5 years for Apple to fix the bug, and we had to work together over that time to mitigate the issue. Basically, I found that a specially crafted file, it could be an image, could make alterations on the operating system level to be able to bypass the keychain protections and access credentials on any type of machine. So that's my area of expertise. That's what I worked in previously. And while doing that, Priscilla, my partner, and I, who's an AUB alumni, decided to look at a specific problem, which is the problem of authentication. And when we looked at what vendors in the space were doing, we thought that there could be a better way to do it. So today, if you think of authentication or password management or identity and access management, all of the solutions that help you achieve these capabilities are centralized and cloud-based in the sense that they store credentials on third-party cloud servers managed by them, and they provide users with tokens that could be passwords, that could be private keys, but basically keys that are used to gain access to this information. What we thought was wrong with this model is that the centralization of credentials at a large scale on third-party cloud servers is a single point of failure and opens companies up to data breaches. And we've seen it happen with identity providers, very prominent ones as well, like OneLogin and LastPass, etc. That's the first problem. The second problem is that you're giving the keys to end users, which is generally a bad idea because the weakest link in an organization is always the user. They're going to get phished, they're going to be negligent, they're often malicious. So you want to try to abstract this layer as much as possible. So we came up with an idea of a decentralized identity and access management solution that would address the limitations of existing ones. And very, very early on in the process, the team in TechCrunch in San Francisco, which is one of the biggest tech publications in the world that cover topics like cybersecurity, like tech in general, startups, etc., got a hold of an early beta release of a product that we had. And they ended up using it internally to run TechCrunch. So they invited us to San Francisco to pitch the product at their Disrupt event. And we're the only company from the Middle East that was ever invited to pitch there. And on stage, while we pitched, we got 25,000 signups, so within 10 minutes, which validated the idea and kind of showed that there was a need for an alternative way to manage identity across personal accounts and enterprise accounts as well. So that was in September of 2016. In a nutshell, that's the difference between us and what's out there. On the left is what's out there. So centralized cloud-based management of credentials or of identities. With us, it's decentralized peer-to-peer end-to-end encrypted communication between endpoints within organizations and consumer devices that talk to each other in a sovereign way. So every request is signed and encrypted, and there's a ledger of keys that's transmitted in a secure manner between these devices. So every device can make its own assessment as to whether a request that they're receiving is valid or not. So in 2017, so enterprises were our goal. At TechCrunch, we pitched the consumer offering because that's what we had at the time. In 2017, TechCrunch invited us again. They had started a new conference, Disrupt, basically, but in Berlin, more focused on security, privacy, etc. And they gave me the stage to talk about our research, about the developments that we've been doing, and to announce the new product, which was called Mikey Enterprise at the time. And there's a company called Deutsche Bahn, which is one of the biggest transportation companies in the world. They have 300,000 employees. Liked the concept and saw a future in the direction, and they gave us a research grant and offices in Berlin and access to engineers and stuff to be able to continue working on the concept and the execution, which we did. By the end of 2018, the product was relatively stable, and in January 2019, PC Magazine gave us the #1 rating worldwide for the best identity and access management solution, specifically around the topic of password and two-factor authentication management for consumers. And we've had this title for 2 years now. So they still renewed it for 2021, and they gave us editor's choice as well. So since then, we've been rated by a lot more units, like independent review units, which have endorsed us for our work. We're a Firefox preferred partner. So if you're a Firefox user and you want to use an identity and access management solution, they're going to push our solution to you. Gartner went through a technical review of our solution as well, and is currently recommending us to their customers. But what we realized being a startup is that even though the product can be great and innovative and it can tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people, you still need to find a market for it. So theoretically, what we have is something that any company could use. But realistically, with the limited budget that a company has in general, and that a startup has especially, because we tend to have smaller budget than larger enterprises, you need to pick your go-to-market strategy, and it needs to be laser focused. You cannot just say, I'm going to go after every company in the world or every company in Lebanon or anything like that. And this problem was compounded for us because we're a global product. We've never sold licenses in the region, in the Middle East. All of our customers are in the US, in Europe, in Australia, and New Zealand. And like just casting a wide net was not an option. So we looked we took a very deep look at different verticals within organizations to try to understand what enterprise vertical had the need for what we had, could not deploy any other type of solution, existing solution, because of technical limitations, because of go-to-market limitations, because of financial limitations, and would need what we have to offer. And we fell upon the segment of managed service providers. Managed service providers, or MSPs, basically are outsourced IT companies. It's a newer model of doing things. In the Middle East, we have a lot of break-fix shops, so stores that fix your company computers, some that do reselling. We have a lot of resellers, system integrators, and stuff like that. And in Europe and in the US and in Australia and New Zealand, there's a new concept which is really developed there. It's called managed service provider. It's basically a company that's considered your outsourced IT. They do everything remotely for you. They can update your machines. They can send new hardware to your offices. They can sell you software, security solutions. They can configure stuff like firewalls, etc., all remotely. And an MSP tends to manage hundreds and sometimes thousands of enterprises. So we looked at MSPs and found that these companies could not resell identity and access management solutions because of several limitations. But the biggest technical one was the fact that existing solutions were not multi-tenant. As an MSP, you need to create a parent company and then child companies under this parent company. And the parent company would need to be able to manage these child companies from an operational perspective, from a billing perspective, etc. Existing solutions, if you think of any enterprise product today, it's you sign up, you have an account for your company. If you want to create another company, then you need to create another account. And that does not work for MSPs that have thousands of companies very often and need to have employees that manage all of these companies at the same time. Our product, because of the decentralization and the way that it works, fit this use case perfectly. So we decided to go after MSPs. Our strategy is to sell to MSPs, managed service providers, and then sell through these MSPs to their customers. And we thought that that was the best way to tackle a huge market. If you think of the MSP market, it's a $200 billion industry. It's growing 15% year over year. And over 60% of organizations in the US use MSPs. They don't have their own internal IT department. And this number like massively increased in the last year because of COVID. We still don't have the exact figures for it, but they're gonna show very clearly. So we launched in October 2019, like the month of where the problem started in Lebanon, in Paris. We're at DataCon, which is a big MSP conference there, and the feedback was amazing. We got 120 MSP signups almost on the spot. Our team was fully booked for over 3 weeks to onboard these trialing companies to try our first product. But then the problems hit in Lebanon. And even though most of our team, all of our customer-facing team was in the US and Europe, our engineering team has always been based in Beirut. So we have 25 people in Beirut that were that made the engineering team. And overnight, we had to figure out how to get them to start working from home. We had to figure out how to continue operations with the other time zones without anyone being affected. We started worrying about internet connectivity, about power at home, at the homes of our engineers, etc. And this is where we started realizing that like we had maybe made a big mistake starting a global cybersecurity company out of Lebanon. And on top of that, the money that we raised, the millions of dollars that we had raised, were in Lebanese banks, because we were a Lebanese company at the beginning. And the banks froze these funds. So overnight, we could not pay any of our employees that were not in Lebanon, and we could not pay any of our other costs, like office space in New York, digital marketing costs, anything basically that's not spent in Beirut, in Lebanon, we could not do anymore. So we went through a very tough time where we figured out ways of getting the money out, lost 5% here, lost 10% there, then lost 15, 20, 30% while getting funds out. And we reached a point where we got all of our funds out. We lost on average about 30% of our funding, which put us in a very tough position, because from one side we were growing massively, and from another side we were actually dying because of the Lebanese situation. So what we did to stabilize was we raised an additional 2 rounds of funding over this last year, at not great terms, because that's the reality of things. So we got hit pretty bad. But at the same time, we continued focusing on growth, and we managed to grow 200% over the last year, which is something that's great. Now, what we did to mitigate this moving forward is that we decided to keep our engineering efforts in Beirut, in Lebanon, because we hope that this is going to be a phase. We like the idea of starting from Lebanon. But realistically, we're not able to hire anymore because everyone's looking to leave the country. We're not able to de-risk this aspect of the business. So there's always this worry that something's going to happen and that's going to cause massive issues to the company. So what we did is that we're opening an Abu Dhabi hub, where we're going to offer an opportunity to the engineers to work in between Beirut and Abu Dhabi. And eventually, if the situation gets better in Beirut, we'll reinforce Beirut. If the situation doesn't get better, we'll push everyone to move to Abu Dhabi. The rest of the team is based in the US and Europe, mainly where our customers are. So in March of 2020, in the middle of all that, there's a guy called Chris Tate, who used to be business development director at Datto, the company that does the conference at which we left. So he's like one of the top 5 people. And he had been following us since October, since we launched. And he reached out to me and said, I'd like to join your company. I think that you're up to something great, and I want to be part of this. And so he joined us as Strategic Alliances Director. And since then, we have a roster of about 15 people that are superstars in the cybersecurity space and the MSP space at a global level that have joined us as an operational team and as an advisory team. And we've continued growing since then. So where we are today in a nutshell, we work with over 600 managed service providers, and we deploy our solutions to over 70,000 enterprises worldwide. Our customers are in 170 countries with a focus on the US, Europe, and Australia, New Zealand. We're only 40 people that are doing all of that, not mainly because of our go-to-market model via MSP partners, and because of the fact that you can now operate very complex products with a handful of very skilled technical people like engineers. We grew 200% in 2020, and we're on track to do the same in 2021. We're considered to be one of the top growing channel security companies in the world, and we've won several awards over the last year and a half for that. In March 2021, so a month ago, we launched our second product, which is complementary to our first solution, and it tackles the problem of browser security. So we've developed a machine learning-based agent that looks at how a user is using the browser and what a web page is doing in the browser, and can determine whether the user is about to put himself or the company at risk. And based on that, it triggers different workflows and integrates with our identity management platform. So that's what we've been up to. If I can help you in any way, do not hesitate to reach out to me at antoine@mikey.com. And like to give you some advice, seeing that you're starting companies, etc., I would say the most important thing, and this is something that I see quite often not happen in the region, but like I strongly encourage you to do it, get external validation to your idea, because you're convinced that what you're doing is great. You have to be, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. But very often, very, very often, it's either the idea is either naive because like you haven't gained enough information to be able to generalize, or it lacks some market-based fine-tuning. So if you're able to talk to a lot of people that are outside of your circles, that have global recognition for work in this specific areas, then you're going to be able to kind of craft your idea and get it to evolve to a point where it becomes ready to be able to absorb growth, absorb funding, and fuel basically itself for a long period of time. But like validating the idea initially, making sure that within the competitive landscape, you have an edge to play within, you have a differentiating advantage, you have barriers to entries that are high enough to make it difficult for other companies to just replicate what you're doing. All of that is quite important. And if you're able to do that effectively, like if you're able to do this work before writing a single line of code even, then your idea is worth a lot of money. If you're able to get an idea that holds itself and can really drive itself forward. So I guess that's my like 2 cents from that perspective. And if I had to give you one piece of advice, that would be it. And I'm looking forward to hearing your pitches and yeah, and helping in any way if I can.
Thank you so much, Antoine. I believe that sharing the story of Mikey is always not just inspiring, but it gives us a lot of hope and a faith that Lebanese entrepreneurs are still very successful. They are still forward-looking, and they can still achieve great successes. And we definitely hope that the students who are with us today will be following your footsteps in this direction. And the great tips, I would say. And I would like to tell all the teams today, like even if you're graduating soon, we will still support you from the MSFEA Entrepreneurship Initiative when it comes to anything related to the business side. We will act like mentors more than anything else and just guide you in the right way of, like, if you're not sure how to do the validation, if you're not sure on how to proceed with the startup, we can definitely give you pointers, connections, and so on, so that you move forward. Thank you again, Antoine. And now I would like to welcome the rest of the jury. So today we have 4 jury members with us. We have already met Dr. Mathieu Ammar from Resource Group. We met Mr. Antoine Jubaria from Mikey. We also have with us Dr. Ibrahim Isa from the Faculty of Engineering. Dr. Isa, would you like to say a few words to the teams?
Sure. So I'm Ibrahim Isa. I'm in electrical and computer engineering. I joined MSFEA 2 years ago, and I also work in privacy and security, and I'm very happy to see students being engaged in this area. As previous speakers mentioned, this is an extremely important topic for in these times, and it's gaining importance by the day. And so good luck for everyone. I'm looking forward to see what you have for us.
Great having you today with us on the jury panel. I would also like to welcome Mr. Ilyas Bustani, who is also coming from a tech field, but now he's more into like the entrepreneurship field, entrepreneurship ecosystem, which he consults for several entities and institutions on that front. Ilyas, would you like also to give a few words?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mona. So I'm Ilyas Bustani. I'm a freelance consultant in strategy and innovation. My background is in telecom engineering and networking, but I've been I've been more working on the business side and entrepreneurship side for a while. So I'll be particularly looking at the business side of your ideas, how we can work together on this front in order to move to the next step. And good luck for everyone. It's great to see focused startups that are focused on specific industry, particularly this very growing market, and that has a lot of potential and requires also very specific technical skill set. So good luck.
Thank you, Ilyas. So I think we have a very well-balanced jury between experts, entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurship experts. So we are very happy about that. And now I would like to tell the teams to get ready, and we will do pitches in the following order. So the first pitch will be OPRIV, Optimizing Privacy Protection for Network Traffic. The second one will be RF Safe, and the third one will be Black Pen. I would also like to remind the jury members that I sent you on your private chat a link So it is a Google spreadsheet link where you will be scoring the teams according to the criteria in the sheet. And after the pitches are over, you will be going into a breakout room in order to deliberate and choose the 2 winners of today. So Luma, are you ready?
Here's a matching Google result.
Yes, I'm ready. Okay.
Okay, so I would like to ask you to share your screen. Just a second. Okay, I'll tell you the format of the pitches. So we are giving a maximum of 8 minutes for the pitch. I know you might not need that long, which is totally fine. And we will give also a maximum of 8 minutes for the Q&A as well. Luma, you have 8 minutes. You can start.
Hi, I'm Luma, and we are OPRIVE, your personal shield for privacy. Whether it's about shopping, ordering food, hiring cabs, checking banking accounts, or communicating with others, the first devices that we think of to accomplish all of these activities are smartphones, tablets, laptops. And this is all because of network applications that can be installed easily and can provide us with several functionalities and several attractive features. As of today, the number of mobile phone users exceeds 3.6 of billions of mobile phones. And the number of of mobile apps downloaded is more than 218 of billions of these apps. The number of internet users is 4.6 billions out of 7.8 total population, and the number of active social media users is 4.2 of billions of users. This is a screenshot of internetlivestats.com that shows the current use of some well-known applications. This is to say that there is currently a huge amount of data. All of these are coming from network-based applications. Usually, people install applications in line with their interests, and therefore, identifying specific apps would infer a lot of information about a user's habits, preferences, medical conditions, or religious beliefs. Usually, we say, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are, but in our days, we can say, show me your apps, and I'll tell you who you are. However, the use of apps comes with a huge risk. This is because of side channel information leakage. So even in the presence of encryption, these side channel information leakage could be processed by big data analysts to expose traffic privacy. The problem is applications are easily discoverable with no currently available protection. According to this graph, the average cost of a single data breach could reach 4 millions of US dollars. And this graph shows how it is spread among different sectors. Like it can reach 7.1 millions of US dollars for the healthcare sector. We propose OPRIVE. OPRIVE uses the power of optimization to provide users privacy without even deteriorating network traffic behavior. OPRIVE Shield would prevent an attacker from tackling the confidentiality of the traffic. And this was proved using a quantitative privacy assessment where OPRIVE outperformed the state-of-the-art techniques in this domain. And these assessments were approved by the most notorious international venues in data security. We firmly believe that our solution will be implemented by app providers for the following reasons. First, because OPRIVE is efficient. It actually can reduce the classification of a random forest classifier from 91% to 1% with only 0.17% overhead. OPRIVE has low computational and low storage overhead, and therefore it is suitable to be used on devices with constrained resources. It has reduced latency, and therefore it is suitable to be used on interactive type of traffic. It is dynamic and scalable, and this was proved by testing it on different types of heterogeneous traffic. We propose a full obfuscation model defense, and our customers will be the defense and government cybersecurity departments and private sector app providers sensitive to privacy breach. These could be in the health sector, banking, governmental, electrical system, and transportation. We actually started our marketing discussions with some governmental agencies in Lebanon and in the UK, and they were very interested in our solution, and therefore we predict to have 70% of the sales of our solution for the public sector and 30% for the private sector. Professor Ali Shahab is a CTO. He is the founder of CloudGate Consulting, and he co-founded Sogo 360. He worked at the American University of Beirut as a full-time professor for more than 18 years. As for me, I'm the CEO, and I worked in Intel security-based services in the United States for more than 1 year, and I am a PhD graduate from AUB, specialized in networking and security. When people predicted the explosion of apps, no one foresaw how prevalent privacy risk would become. It is time to address this issue, and OPRIVE is poised just to do that. Thank you.
Awesome, Luma. So now I would like to open the floor for judges to ask any questions. So who would like to go first? So we have Dr. Ibrahim Isa. Would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the technical aspects? So you are trying to, if I download an app, you don't want anyone to know which app I am using. Is this correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so could you tell us a little bit more about how this is achieved?
Yes. You want me to explain how we achieve that, right? And not what is the attack scenario?
Yes. I mean, you might talk about the scenario in order to explain it to me. This is up to you.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We are dealing here with an attack, with the scenario of an attacker that is sniffing on the encrypted traffic between the communication between the traffic between the node and a certain server, or an attacker that can have access to the encrypted data in the data center where the data resides. So our attacker would construct some classifiers based on machine learning, and he would match the captured traffic, and he would know the exact application used by a certain consumer. And this is considered a major threat for privacy, especially for people who really care about privacy, like governmental agencies and army and health. So what we did here in our work, we presented several preliminary work to identify what are the factors that could affect, that could help me to have a full obfuscation system with the maximum efficiency and minimum overhead. And we came up with a model based on formulating the optimization model of network obfuscation. So we formulate this problem, and we provided two optimal solutions. The first one is an analytical solution, and the second one is provided by a modeling software, an optimization modeling software. We did several testing, and we realized that both techniques are consistent. We also proved the results of this technique using some metrics based on information theory. Yeah, so.
Thank you, Luma. Dr. Ammar, would you like to ask your question?
I don't know if we have the time, but I would like actually to see a demo You know, I'm a practical guy, so
Okay.
always look to have something to be presented during a seminar. But I don't think we have enough time. I think no.
So for me, for the sake of simplicity of this presentation, I showed the results of a mutation. So the accuracy of random forest of 91% could be reduced to 1%, which is a very good efficiency, and we only had 0.17% overhead. This would mean that we are not affecting the performance of the communication, especially that in the case of apps, we don't want to deal with performance degradation.
Okay. Okay. If we compare what you have developed actually, or what you are proposing, to what is existing in the market, have you done a kind of state of the art or something?
Yeah, so we are always looking in the market if there is a product that is similar to ours. However, still there isn't any commercial product similar to ours, and we expect that because their results are not as good as ours, there is till now we didn't find any product similar to us. However, in the literature, there is a lot of techniques, but as we mentioned in our presentation, we did a quantitative privacy assessment of our obfuscation model with the other techniques, and our obfuscation model really outperformed the other techniques.
Okay. One last question is, what's your marketing policy in this case? I mean, you are addressing a certain categories of customers.
We are planning to have some targeted publicity to the two customers that we were that two sectors that we were explaining. So we would go and propose our model and explain it. And also we could use some specialized symposium to have our solution to be more known, or to have it publicly known.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Luma. Elias, do you have any questions for Luma?
Yes, I would like to know more about what will you be selling. So is it an application that you put on your customer device? Is it a VPN service? Is it an API maybe that you'll be providing to softwares that want to secure the access with the end devices? What is it? So what type of people and what would they be buying?
So our product will be a full obfuscation model, in meaning that we are selling the algorithm license plus the implementation, because our product should be customized to the type of application of the customer, to what target application does he wants his app to look like. So we would need to customize our solution to his benefit and to his goals. Because it would be adaptively, we could adapt our solution to his environment.
So when you say his, you mean an application developer or a corporation, for example? Let's say the Ministry of Interior with their staff, their own application, or is it a medical provider that will be using it for their own app? What's
let's say we are dealing with the Ministry of Defense, and they are using their specific application to communicate. Using our obfuscation model, we would obfuscate their traffic to look like WhatsApp, for example, or to look like Viber. So we are going to them and ask them, what do you want your traffic to look like?
Okay, clear. So it's for a specific application. It's not like all the communication with the end device.
Or even we can obfuscate their traffic to different types of applications, not only once. It's up to them to tell us what do they want and what is the level of security that they need and what performance degradation do they allow, or yeah.
And you provide them with a consulting service, like integration service, and the system will be running on the cloud, on your cloud, or
basically for the people that deal with privacy, they want their to run their
of course.
Yeah, but we want to highlight something like in our work, we provided some metrics that would define what is the best model, what is the best way to use our solution. It's not like we give them the algorithm and they would deal with it. We will need to tell them how. What is the procedure to do it, and what is the best way to use it based on their requirements.
And my last question is: do you have an IP, or is this something that you can patent as an algorithm?
Patent our algorithm. Till now, we didn't try to do this. Yeah, but hopefully in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, Antoine, do you have any questions? And if we can keep it brief, Luma, as well.
Sorry.
Of course. So you're protecting companies or service providers from malicious parties that intercept the traffic of their customers.
Yeah, exactly.
Or of their users.
Yeah.
But if you already have encryption, like HTTPS set up, why would you need to obfuscate any type of traffic?
Yeah, so we did all the testing on encrypted traffic, because even if you have encrypted traffic, there is some side channel information like the inter-packet times, the packet length, the volume of exchange traffic. We can build a supervised machine learning algorithm based on feature extracted from this side information. And we proved that 91% accuracy, we can identify what is the type of this traffic. Like I can identify you're using Facebook with 91% accuracy, and we proved this in our work.
But so, if you have man-in-the-middle capabilities, you already know the endpoint that the user is hitting. So you already know that the user is reaching Facebook servers with their requests.
But sometimes no. If the adversary is sniffing on the packet between the node and the router, he would not see the endpoint to be Facebook. He would see the endpoint to be the router.
No, he needs to see. There's no encryption between the user and the router except for wireless encryption, for example. But application level encryption or network level encryption, doesn't exist between the user and the router. So if I'm
sniffing packets on a network, what if the consumer is using VPN and therefore still the adversary can use his classifiers and know the what type of traffic. So here we're dealing with very sensitive privacy breaches. Sometimes even if the consumer is using VPN and the attacker is not able to detect what are the end user IP, he would know the type of the application using his supervised machine learning algorithms.
Okay, thank you, Luma. We have to move to the second team. Thank you so much for this pitch and for Q&A performance. Up next, we have RF Safe. I will ask you to kindly share your screen and give maybe 30 seconds for the jury to fill their scores for OPRIVE. RF Safe.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Abdullah. Okay. Okay, just wait for my signal, all right?
Okay.
And for RF Safe team, if you can share your screen, open your cameras, that would be great as well. So Julie, are we good to start with the next pitch?
Yeah.
All right, great. So you have 8 minutes. Abdullah, you can start.
Okay, thank you. So hello and welcome everyone. Today we are going to be presenting our project on a more robust DMV protocol, which is the dominant cashless payment protocol used to secure transactions. So currently there are 2.8 billion active credit cards worldwide with an estimated loss of $30 billion last year alone. Experts predict that these numbers are only going to increase from here on forward. So the problematic attack that we're trying to solve and costing these companies a lot of money is called relay attack. It's a problem that keeps on showing in both academia and in the market. So researchers at ETH were actually able to successfully perform the attack twice in the past year. And MasterCard, which is an important player in the market, is also positively engaging in academics and seeking to roll out a countermeasure to this problem. So how does this happen? Here's just a mini video how it works. So basically what happens is that an attacker sets an infected phone in the proximity of a credit card, and then it relays the information to an accomplice who uses it to commit a fraudulent transaction in real time. Thus, effectively, what they're doing is creating a tunnel between two phones, and then they're relaying sensitive information from the credit card to a reader to perform a transaction. So what is our proposed solution? It's called and commonly referred to as RFDNA, which in simple terms is just a hardware setup with a trained machine learning model. So how does it actually work? So there's a research hypothesis in previous that in previous literature and also using our efforts, we have been able to prove that different devices actually have unique fingerprints due to manufacturing conditions. Thus, it is true that the state a signal generated by a phone's NFC chip. So the signal that is generated by a phone's NFC chip is different than that coming from a credit card chip. So what our machine learning model is trained to do is actually to classify whether a signal originated from a credit card or from a phone. And since that data is received by the reader, the data that's coming from the device is received by the reader, it contains whether it is a credit card or a phone. And then by comparing the model's output to the data's properties and seeing what's the difference, we can conclude whether a relay attack is occurring. So our market are companies such as IBM, who are actively seeking to detect and prevent fraudulent cashless payment transactions, in which under $20 billion were used in the year 2019 for these purposes. Our target audience are the POS or point of sale terminal manufacturers who would want this important security measure in their devices. So we are a business-to-business service in which the end user isn't actually involved in it. Now, you might be thinking and asking, what makes us special? Well, our solution is flexible, meaning it doesn't change in the existing EMP protocol, but rather it only adds to it. And our solution is lightweight, so it has negligible overhead in terms of time and computational complexity, which means that the end user won't notice difference in the duration of the transaction or the performance of the service being given to them. So who's our competition? Technically, we found two competition. One of them is the RFID blocking wallets, who claim to prevent credit cards from being used while they're inside them. However, that claim is not backed by enough statistics, so it isn't well backed up. And the other is mobile wallets, but that also doesn't eliminate the possibility of carrying a card, as most users would still carry their credit cards with them. So what's our go-to-market strategy? It will be providing our audience first with a demo of our solution on the original product. We might get in contact with these vendors through our available connections, for example, in the academic community. We will also be participating in conferences like the MRC and RSA to further reach into the market and create new connections. So now, business model is actually very simple and often used in these kinds of products. First, we are going to change the company with a one-time licensing fee upon installation. And then we will charge yearly a percentage of the money saved by our solution. So who's our team? Our team consists of Omar Al-Jarudi, who is responsible for computer architecture and digital systems. We also have Bashar Bajur for software engineering. We have myself, Abdullah Ndashli, for communications and networking. And we also have Mustafa Aitani for intelligence systems. Now, so far in our previous 2 semesters, we've covered the literature and we've created a working machine learning model. So what lies ahead in our 3rd and 4th quarters is to train the model again in an EMV environment, and then we finally need to design a hardware to use that machine learning model in the EMV environment as well. Finally, what we still need to do is get 2 more team members. We need someone who is a specialist in hardware because to design the compact hardware that we need. And we also need another salesperson to handle the business aspect of the company. We would also need capital to buy equipment and to travel, as well as pay salaries. We estimate that we will require in the 3rd and 4th quarters to raise more funding for about 25,000 maybe to maintain the company before we can actually launch our product and generate revenue out of it. So do you have any questions?
Awesome, thank you, Abdullah.
I'll start by the quick questions, if you allow me. Can you just go back to the presentation? I guess the 2nd or 3rd slide, if you allow.
Yeah. So the second
or 3rd one, I guess. Yeah.
This is the 2nd.
Okay, just after, I guess, when you start talking about the relay attack. Okay. Okay, you know that MasterCard actually is working intensively on this topic because you know, for every transaction there is a calculation based on different factors and different parameters actually. And this is a concern for not even MasterCard actually. It's for all the schemes, even the Chinese now they are thinking about it. UnionPay. I think maybe it's a false true problem, let's say, because it might be possible actually to have a relay attack, but it cannot be actually for 1/1 billion or 1 million, I don't know, transactions. So it cannot be actually relayed, or we cannot have actually the same transaction done twice for many reasons, because usually as I said, it's a kind of hashing and it's a special algorithm in order to approve a transaction. So what do you, if you go to the 2nd slide, okay, just the 2nd slide, no, that's the 2nd, sorry, the slide after. Okay, one more slide. Okay, because you're talking about something that you will integrate to POS.
Yeah.
Okay. You know that the POS market or business is a huge one, and it is something now and more secure, because you cannot have a simple POS that can be used to make a transaction. It has to be EMV certified, EMV co-certified. And of course, it goes into many test levels. So many labs should have to, I mean, it's not a simple test. It is really a very stress test on POS, whether on the electrical or on the physical test. So what makes actually, my question is, how you will tackle such market, knowing that you gave actually 4 names in the slide after, starting by Angenico up to Verifone, okay? What makes your solution actually attractive for the POS manufacturers? And have you done actually a kind of a research about something that they have starting developing somewhere, or they have thought about the same ideas as you did? Because I need to know exactly if you have done a kind of research from the competitor side. Because for you actually they will be competitors.
Yeah, so they have actually been trying to implement several different solutions. So one of them is actually called distance bounding, in which, like, since the relay attack occurs over a distance, so the time to relay the information will make the transaction take much more time. And then if the time of the transaction exceeded a certain threshold, then that would mean a fraudulent transaction has occurred. However, we have seen in previous literature that this is still possible to perform a relay attack, even though this measure is there. So in terms of other competitors, so yeah, there is this solution. The current research, which isn't much developed, so which we are trying to contribute to, basically the one that is concerned with RFDNA, in which they were just trying at a minimum level of classifying different credit cards. There's the difference and uniqueness in their properties and their signals. So for us, we aren't actually, we're actually just trying to solve this relay attack problem. So actually, even in previous literature, they've mentioned that companies aren't much able to even identify when a relay attack occurred. So they've even quantitatively measured how many people would come to them and tell them that they've been frauded, but then they'd blame it on something else, and that problem is not actually the relay attack, but it would have been, and it might have been. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Abdullah. I would like to ask the rest of the jury to keep their questions brief for the sake of time. So Dr. Isa, do you have any questions for the team?
Yes. Thank you, Abdullah, for the presentation. My question is, so you talked, so your solution will incorporate a hardware component as well as a software component. So we have this POS. Can you use them as is and add some software to detect whether the transaction is coming from a mobile phone or a credit card? Or do you have to add some hardware? And could you tell us a little bit more about the software or the solution you're adopting? So you said it's ML, but can you tell us a bit more?
So for the first question, actually, the POS already does have what is called an SDR. It's a software-defined radio, and it is capable of performing our needs and our process. So no, we don't actually have to add any physical component to the POS. We can just modify its software. In terms of how did we implement our model, so basically it's a machine learning model. In previous researches, they were using a convolutional neural network. But that didn't actually get them a lot of accuracy in classifying signals. So what we did was we created a new model which uses convolutional networks with long short-term memory layers, which are called LSTM layers. and that actually gave us better accuracy. In addition, that in our model, we are only classifying between EMV or not EMV in order to detect whether whether a phone is being in contact with POS or that an actual credit card is being in contact with the POS. And then we'll just compare the actual data that is being sent to the POS. So the POS is being sent that I'm a credit card. However, if our model tells it that no, a phone is actually in front of you, then we can then determine whether a fraudulent transaction is occurring.
Thank you. Antoine?
Two quick questions. The first one is, how does this work with mobile-based payments? Like if I use my Apple Pay to simulate a card to pay, would it flag this as a mobile-based payment, so a potential relay attack?
Yeah, so I think I can answer that. I'm Omar Jaroudi. Hi, everyone. So yeah, our solution tries to distinguish between when someone is pretending to be a card and he is using his phone, then we will deem this as a relay attack. But if you are using your phone for a legitimate transaction, the actual bits of data that are being shared between your phone and the reader will indicate that this is a phone that's being used. It's a mobile wallet. So we have no reason to worry because our model will not predict that there is a card here. It's a phone and software says that it's a phone. So there is no mismatch. So this has nothing to do with the relay attack. You may proceed with your transaction as usual. But if somebody is presenting software data, bits of data that they are pretending to be a card, but our model sees that, oh, I'm reading that there's a phone signal here, then there is a mismatch, there is something wrong. So here the model can intervene and terminate the transaction.
Thank you, Omar. Antoine, you had another?
Yeah, without getting into, I'm not going to get into the details of this conversation, but that's interesting. My second question is, you said that you've improved on existing convolutional networks by adding LSTM, an LSTM layer. Where's the barrier to entry? Can any research group that's fairly proficient in machine learning model building replicate your model?
I think I can answer that. Well, yes. It actually took us some time. So yeah, if they are proficient in machine learning model, they'll have to like view the literature, understand the protocol, understand why is it unique, gain the features that we've been able to extract. So it was a kind of a lengthy process. So we'd say like we have a head start on whoever would want to like replicate our.
Would you say it's cheaper for a POS provider to hire a team to do that, or to pay you at perpetuity for your services?
I think it would be better for us, of course, to hire us because, like, we can keep on making it getting better because that would be our focus. So if they hire their own team, they're gonna have like they have to pay them salaries. They have to fund them to make their they'll have their own R&D section in their company, and not most companies want to do that.
Okay, so you're confident there's more innovation that can be found and like product development roadmaps that could be established based on your.
Yeah, definitely.
And the main goal would be classifying transactions as potentially fraudulent or not based on external factors. The first one, which you're using now, is the phone versus card, but you might start looking at other things in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is room to grow from this binary classification that we are performing to something even more complicated, but this will definitely need more hardware to test with, and the situation right now has been really limiting in terms of acquiring hardware and even going on campus. So that has been a limiting factor to us, definitely.
And do you say that, you said that there's, in Zurich, they were able to replicate it twice, like the number 2 means that very few times they were able to replicate it.
Yeah, I realized that this is a point for confusion. They are presenting new ways of how to mount it on Visa card and on MasterCard. And they are complementing this with another hack or attack, if you want to call it, that allows them to bypass the PIN, because usually in tap-to-pay payments or contactless payments, there's an upper limit of money that you can use. So they are presenting new ways in which you can bypass the PIN code restriction and pay for more expensive goods.
One last
that's
very
what they.
quick question. Very quick question. How much did businesses lose last year from specifically relay attacks, not card-based scams?
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get a solid number on this statistic because companies are not classifying, are not providing data of how many relay attacks are happening versus other attacks. So we haven't been able to collect this specific number. But the fact that it is an academic, almost in academia, every couple of months, a paper is coming out targeting the relay attack in EMV context. And when people in Zurich actually contact MasterCard, alarming them about this vulnerability, and MasterCard are engaging with them and sending emails and data to and fro. So we are pretty sure that the relay attack is a reality in terms of fraudulent transactions.
Thank you.
Omar. Just for the sake of time, I would like Elias to phrase his question as a comment because we really need to move on to the next team.
Yes, it's super short. It's just, what's your business model? So how will you make people pay? Is it by transaction, like by the car manufacturer? Who will be paying you how much in 2 words?
Yes, sorry, I can answer that. So concerning our business model, we have a certain plan. So suppose company X wants to buy our model. First, we have like a sort of a cost to get a license for our business model, which is around $50,000. And then after that, so suppose this company X used our business model for 1 year. Depending on how much money we were able to save, how much money our model was able to save, we will get 5% of the total money saved. So assuming, for example, $1 million were protected. So $1 million were protected from relay attacks. We got like $50,000 in addition to the original $50K.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And now I'd like to ask the final team, Black Pen, to also share their screens and wait for my signal to start your pitch.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So if you can go to full screen mode.
Okay, so can you see it?
Yes, but it's still not in full screen.
It's still not. Oh. I'll try again. How about now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
So jury, are we all set to start the final pitch?
Yeah.
All right, so you have 8 minutes, you can start.
Okay. Hello, my team and I will be presenting our pitch deck for the web application Black Pen. This is an app that looks for security issues in other web applications. The problem: most IT leaders are migrating their businesses to the cloud. The increasing number of data breaches is exposing more and more records each year, and there's a shortage of cybersecurity professionals, and companies are not able to find experts that can perform this role. Penetration testing, or pen testing, is the practice of testing a system or a web application to find security vulnerabilities that an attacker could exploit. Some companies hire penetration testers to help them find weaknesses in their systems so that they can be patched. Our solution is to automate the penetration testing process so that customers use our product to test their systems without having cybersecurity expertise. We only need the user to input their web app URL and select the scanning types that they would like to perform, and we will deliver a detailed report within minutes. This is an initial prototype of our homepage. And here is a prototype of our scanning page where the user can select the options to scan. This is the first page of the report indicating the number of alerts found, classified by type and risk level. And this is an example of a high-risk vulnerability with its description and advised solution.
The global penetration testing market size was valued at $1.718 billion USD in 2020 and is expected to grow to $4.598 billion USD by 2025 at a compound annual growth rate of 21.8%, according to Qualys, Rapid7, and Trustwave Holdings, which are major players in this field. This shows that it is a very attractive market in which we can gain market share. Our main target audience is, first of all, small-sized companies that don't have an extensive budget for penetration testing. Therefore, they can use our affordable platform to understand the vulnerabilities they have instantly, instead of hiring an expensive team that will also take more time to provide results. For larger companies, our platform could be a way to accelerate their testing process by having the fundamental vulnerabilities scanned automatically. Here are the main competitors we found that provide automated penetration testing solutions. The main weaknesses we found are that no company provides a basic solution at a price less than $100 per month. In addition, they provide non-customizable packages that may include tests that don't concern the client's application. Their solutions also require that clients add code to their website to run the solution instead of just inputting the URL and receiving a report. And the cloud application scanning is not supported by all the competitors. This brings us to our unique edge. We are focused on cloud applications, which are the future of deployment. Our solution is automated. It doesn't require the client's input other than the URL. We will provide a pay-as-you-go model that charges a client according to the tests he uses.
As for our business model, we will offer two main payment methods to our clients. The first method being a subscription-based payment in which we will offer a variety of packages with a price that depends on the size of the client's platform or website. The second method being a pay-as-you-go based payment in which the users use the tools they need for a one-time usage and pay the corresponding fee. This allows small businesses to respect their cybersecurity budgets while making sure that their infrastructure is more robust. And to reach our potential clients, we will be using cold emailing, search engine marketing, and search engine optimization. Our team consists of 3 CCE AUB students: Antoine Jubaria, which has completed an entrepreneurship initiative program with Dr. Mona Aitani; Edmond Smeha, who has taken AWS courses to learn more about the cloud; myself, Christophe Saab, who will be completing a business minor this year; Dr. Ali Shahab as our advisor, and Mr. Abbas Salemi as collaborator. Here is a look at our timeline. We have started research in September of 2020. We have then decided on our design and architecture around February 2021. We then started the development, which is the stage we are currently in. We aim to launch our marketing campaign in September to prepare for our product launch in January 2022. And after achieving these objectives, the team's biggest goal is to be the market leader in the pen testing industry by following a cost leadership strategy in which we would be offering our service at the lowest possible price to achieve the largest market share, which we believe is achievable since our prices are very low compared to our competitors. As for our ask, we will be needing business connections such as experienced individuals who can validate our work and vision, and based on a generated forecast by studying our possible capital and operational expenditures, we estimate that we need approximately $250,000 a year to assure that the company has a longevity while greatly expanding its scope. Thank you.
Thank you, team. And now we will start with the judges. So maybe Elias, you would like to go first.
Thank you. So yes, I have 2 questions. One is, how are you different from competitors such as Intruder.io? The second one is, where do you stand today? So what has been achieved so far, the architecture, or do you have like a working solution or some kind of a prototype?
Okay, so I can answer I think I'm the best one to answer the first question. Intruder offers the basic plan, $100 per month, and it's not customizable. It just you have like a huge set of tests that runs. So obviously, intruder has also to pay for these computations. In our model, we're going to do it pay as you go, more customizable packages to test like the fundamental security issues of the company. Therefore, we reduce cost and it should be cheaper for the customer.
Okay, thank you. In terms of where do you stand today? So the first screenshots that you show are actually working product or more of a...
the screenshots are prototypes, but we actually have an application. It's not ready yet to be launched, but we have the application ready with some scanning tools that are ready. We have a front-end React app, and we have prepared the APIs and microservices, so we can already call them.
Okay, one comment just on the go-to-market. So you can maybe one approach that could work is to find vulnerabilities and contact the companies, telling them we found vulnerabilities on your website and we're happy to offer our services to maintain the top security.
No, because we are not allowed to test websites without their permission. So our go-to-market plan is actually reaching the customer before testing and asking them if they're interested in our product. And then we could sell them either a subscription package or a pay-as-you-go system on a pay-as-you-go basis, as mentioned previously.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, Antoine, would you like to go next?
Yes, just one comment on the previous answer. You are definitely allowed to inspect the websites of customers as long as you abide by responsible disclosure in a responsible disclosure manner. So anything you detect, you report to the customer in good faith. Also, nothing destructive, so no denial of service and things like that on the domain. So that could be a way for you to acquire customers and find interest. My question to you is more around the go-to-market, because in your go-to-market slide, you mentioned going after small enterprises and also larger enterprises. I personally see the larger enterprise market being extremely crowded. There's a lot of players that are not in your list, like AWS itself, for example, that offer the service for free for AWS customers. The same goes for Azure, the same goes for Google Cloud. So these capabilities already exist. But at the consumer level, the packaging in a friendly way, where you tell an SMB user, here's a report that shows that you have issues on your website, and we actually have mitigation steps for you to address them, is actually interesting, I think. One way I would think, and this is more, I think, advice or my 2 cents on this more than a question, would be to offer the analysis for free and ask them to pay for the detailed mitigation steps. So you tell them there's 6 issues on your websites, you give the title to the 6 issues that you found, which are true. And then if they want to know in an end-user friendly way, the same way your website is end-user friendly, if they want to know in an end-user friendly way how to fix these issues, then they pay for the report, and then you can find a way to charge them on a recurrent basis once they've put in their credit card after that. I think that this model could be interesting and could differentiate you. One challenge I see, though, is that most companies that don't know about these things, that are small enough not to have done any efforts to look at this, tend to use platforms that are self-managed, like Wix and other types of tools. And these, when there's vulnerability in one of these, it's actually managed. It's actually addressed by Wix and not by the service provider. So that could be a challenge.
Thank you. I like the payment method, offering a free analysis and then asking for payment for a detailed report. I think that's a great idea.
You're welcome. If I can help in any way, please let me know.
Dr. Isa, would you like to go next?
Yes. So I actually still also a little bit confused about the testing point. I mean, have you performed your own tests to make sure that your tool works well? I mean, if you want to pitch it and convince someone that it's a good tool to detect the vulnerabilities, not just that it's free or open source or something.
Yeah,
so
yes,
you
we've
mean
actually tested.
So is your question about, like, did we write also our own tools and not just relied on open source code?
Not that,
that's,
I don't know, maybe you wrote your own tools, but I'm asking, like, you developed this tool, you're going to a company and telling it, I have this tool that detects vulnerabilities, and I'm offering it for some amount of money. Okay, but do you have like tests, like benchmarks to show them, like, if you test this tool on this well-known website or on this pet website, then look, it can detect the vulnerabilities. I mean, why would they pay you without any proof that your product works well?
I'm not sure if it was just only cutting from my side. Team, did you hear the question?
No, it cut as well.
All right, so maybe Dr. Ibrahim, if you can type it in the chat. And Dr. Ammar, would you like to ask your question now?
Yes, actually, just to add what Antoine was saying about providing maybe a guide to the gentleman is to start by dividing customers, or let's say their prospects, per categories. You know, every business has its own weaknesses. So if you want actually to attack, or let's say to test with their sites or their applications, what I suggest is to start by studying their weaknesses. And in this case, you might actually find some loopholes somewhere that will allow you to easily make a kind of breakthrough and to have some findings in with your tool. So this is my my advice for this. And personally, because, you know, as I said during the keynote speech, that Encrypt is always being under attack, because we deal with money, we deal with data, and we know that we have to make a kind of actually we do the penetration test on a periodic way, because we have to prove to our customers that we have enough security, and we have the highest level of security required by the certificates or the certification. But and somehow we have a certain type of business that or the hackers, okay, or know how to attack, okay, because they know that we deal with data using SFTP, for example, or we have a kind of VPN for some customers, and in this case they have to attack in a specific way, okay. So it's a nice initiative, I guess. What you will want to do is would be a product that will complement what we have today in among the tools for penetration test. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to answer to Dr. Ibrahim Isa.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have tested actually our application on the public firing range, the website hosted by Google, which is used for testing, especially for cross-site scripting attacks. So our platform uses known tools like Zap. So it has a great list of active scans that it uses, like SQL injection. I'm going a bit technical. SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and many other very popular and extremely dangerous attacks with very high risk. So we actually tested our application, and one of actually both screenshots of the report, the output, are real screenshots, and they are not just for the demo. So it was a real test conducted today on the firing range of Google, hosted by Google. And we're also testing on OWASP Juice Shop. It's a buggy application, web application.
Thank you, Antoine and team. So I believe we're going a little bit more in time. We need around 10-15 minutes more to conclude. What I will do now is I will send all the jury to a breakout room where they can deliberate among themselves to see who will be the award winners for today's event. So jury, I will be sending you to a breakout room. And meanwhile, I would like to ask our audiovisual gurus to also play some music for the attendees while they wait.
Dr. Mona, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
Is this video on YouTube recorded or no? Once live streamed, we will not have access to it?
Stay there. No, it will stay on YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. All right, thank you everyone for waiting. And we can close the breakout room now. So I'm just checking if our jury are back. Yes, they are. Great. So it has been a very interesting discussion. All of you did really well, I would say. So thank you so much for applying to this award, for pitching today. And we would like all of you to continue your great efforts in this growing field of importance. And we're all very proud of you. And now I would like to ask Dr. Ammar if he would like to announce the winners.
Dr. Ammar, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. Okay, as Mona was saying, you all did well, and we believe in you. But you know, we have to present 2 winners, and among the 3 projects, the jury decided to award the RF Safe project, the information privacy, let's say, prize, and Black Pen, the cybersecurity prizes. For OPRIVE, I think the project was good, but not enough to be among the 2 first winners. But as I said, we believe that you've done a good job, and we can also help in developing these projects to become real products and to be actually sold or let's say marketed somewhere, whether in the Middle East, because we believe that this region deserves to be treated differently than we have today, because we have a lot of you know, of knowledge, of know-how, and it's I'm not talking about our nation, Lebanon. You know, we deserve the best, but I think we have to be more open to market your solutions and products in the near future for the whole region, Middle East and Africa, and even worldwide. I believe nothing is impossible in this case. So great job for Team 2 and Team 3, and please continue working on your project, Team 1, because it's something that can be also realized, but this is life. We have to choose. We have to choose between the 2 winners, and this is our decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ammar and Resource Group, for their generosity, for their belief in youth projects and their contribution in this field of cybersecurity and information privacy. We are very happy to have this partnership in place, and hopefully next year we'll have much more teams competing for the award.
Definitely. Without COVID-19, by the way.
Without COVID-19, where we can see each other face to face and have the final event on stage, hopefully. So with that said, again, congratulations RF Safe for the Information Privacy Award, and congratulations Black Pen for the Cybersecurity Award. We will be reaching out to you for details on receiving your award and how we can support you to further push your projects to reality. And I would like to ask the rest of the jury members if they would also like to give like a concluding words for the teams. So maybe starting with Dr. Aisa.
Right. Thanks a lot for these pitches. It was very exciting to see your ideas, and hopefully this will be the start of something bigger. both teams, 2 and 3, RF Safe and Blackman, who got the award. But also for Team 1, I believe the project has a lot of potential. And I think with a little more work, it could be ready for future other sources of funding. And I was happy to be here, and good luck to you all.
Happy to have you with us. Elias, would you like to also say a few words?
Sure. So it was a great presentations. We liked a lot what was presented in terms of technical advancements. I think to push the projects forward, it's about now developing more the business side and also the industry expertise. So if you're going into finance, for example, try to get on board people that are in the finance field or in the payments field, etc., which will be able to provide a lot of insights. Also, all those technologies have a lot. All those projects have a lot in terms of technology. It's about finding the right angle in order to enter in market and try to differentiate. So, for example, the first project, it's a great issue now. It's about how to issue that's being solved, which is about the privacy now. We need to work more on how to make it a product and identifying better who will be using it. But there is a number of cases that could work. Similarly, for the last one, it's about finding a stronger differentiator than just the price. So there is a lot that can be done, and good luck for next step. And AUB and will be very excited to help you in moving forward.
Thank you, Elias, also for being with us. Antoine?
Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed this, and I really wish you the best of luck. Even though we only got to give awards to just 2 of the companies, I think that it's worth continuing to explore. But just to go back on my initial comment when I told you my story, make sure to validate your idea at every point in time with people that don't have any interest in giving you good or bad advice. It's very important. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time and resources and like years of your lives developing things that might not yield the desired outcome. So validate your idea, question yourself, and if I can help in any way, please do not hesitate to reach out.
I definitely need that they need your mentorship, Antoine, so we'll definitely be referring them to you, as you had the great advice for all the teams. Again, thank you so much, everybody, and thank you again, Resource Group, for your generosity and partnership. And we are looking forward to maybe have the teams visit Resource Group as well, for like some media coverage and to receive the final award. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening.
Same to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.